You could sit here a bit longer, can you?
Sure.
Well, good. I don't know if you know Michael Thomas or not. In fact, I have not met Michael Thomas, but I have read pieces by him many times in most of our major magazines, I guess, Esquire and Look and Holiday, and where else have I read him? Ramparts. Yeah. And he is the movie critic for Status magazine, and he's quite a brilliant writer. He's writing his autobiography. It's titled Lies. He's much honored for the stuff he's written, and he's even 25 years old, which is another of his credits. Will you welcome the most prolific gentleman, Michael Thomas. I look more like Dean Rusk than ever tonight. I don't know what it is. How are you, Michael?
Pretty good.
Greeting. It's funny, I should say that, because by saying that,
how are you?
What?
Did she say how are you?
No, by saying that implication about my looking like Dean Rusk, because I read a piece of yours in which you refreshingly resented the assumptions that some people make from your appearance, but it wasn't the usual one. It wasn't that the so-called...
I'd like to change my appearance if I could think of something better, you know, but and I've been trying, you know, I mean, this is sneakers and
I was thinking about your reference to your hair, though, because you were saying not the usual reaction to people's long hair, but it was the reaction of other people with long hair that you resented. Do you remember the piece I'm talking about?
Well, it's just that everybody expects you to be their brother, you know, just because you have long hair, and there's a lot of people with long hair who I wouldn't want to be brothers with, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems that you get identified very quickly, and that's all right, except that you're not that all the time, you know. And so you have to respond. You have to imitate yourself. I mean, people want you to imitate yourself, you know. And after a while, it's silly, you know. It's just silly.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a piece you wrote on the generation gap or what that I was thinking of, but you were
all of that I
resent.
Phrase. You know, I mean, I resent being all of these are kind of journalist notions, you know, and they're witty, but they don't explain anything that seems to me silly, you know. I mean, I like older women, you know, and it's I don't want to. I don't feel as though I'm part of a generation, especially, you know. I don't feel I necessarily share, you know, anything with, you know, an age group. It's just a matter of. It's silly. It's just silly. You know? It's silly to keep to expect people to behave the way they look like they're going to behave. You know?
You also, I think, said that the phrase generation gap sort of excused both people at both ends of the phrase.
Yeah, well, then everybody can say it's all right. You know, it's like saying I'm a bad guy, and if you say you're a bad guy, then if you do anything wrong, you say, well, listen, I always said I was a bad guy. You know.
Yeah, the label is very comforting.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it excuses you. Yeah. So that's,
what does it take to be a rock critic? What was your background for that?
I'd like to know that myself.
It takes being when you're a kid, you know, like listening to Elvis Presley and being fractured by it then, and it being like the music that you always dug a lot, you know, and if you like it, then if you're a writer, then you write about it, you know, because the people are interesting, and because it's this sort of tribal music that you like, you know, it's your tribe, and it just takes like some kind of response to the music, some sensual response, you know.
Don't you think it gets a little out of your business?
I
mean, you know, don't you think writers take way too much on themselves?
Oh, hell, yeah, sure. But
I think that.
Well, I just think there's no point in writing about rock and roll at all, really. There's nothing really to say. There's just different ways of saying the same thing, you know. And it's a matter that it should just be, everybody should just enjoy it, you know?
Right, that's what seems to me music's about. But I mean, these people, I've read columns, I mean, not even people that put me down, I mean, not people that I have a grudge against, but that spend, like, you know, pages upon pages comparing, you know, oh yes, I noticed the Schoenberg influence in this particular riff, when the guy was just going, shooby-dooby, man.
That bugs me wherever it occurs. It's a particular fault of the English. The Americans too, but am I offending you?
No, it's not. No.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I probably
He will.
I once saw, you know the gentleman I'm talking about, and he produced a production of Alice for the BBC, and then he brought it over here, and it was shown because they considered it too esoteric and dark and spooky or something like that. I don't know why. It was really quite good. But at the end of it...
spooky, though.
Yeah. But at the end of the screening, it was for a lot of actors and people. He opened the floor to questions, and people said, Mr. Miller, I don't want to mention his name, why did you use a carpet in that scene on the wall? And he went into this long answer that was like, you know, it was incredible. One finds the entire history of Western art in the past 500 years a sort of a travesty in the original sense of the word, sort of reclothing biblical stories into some sort of original, and one's own neurotic fretwork, sort of working through in some.
But don't take it all away.
And a guy's walking out by this time, you know, saying, "I wanted to know why a rug's on the wall." And, it was a very odd experience. Do you find that there's too much cerebration?
I find myself doing that all the time. You know,
yeah, but you're not.
I find myself just exercising around something because I'm more interested really in writing about myself than anybody else anyway.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
And
I mean, and all writers, they really expose themselves when they write about something. Especially, I find it very interesting if you know what it is they're writing about. Say, a show that I was at, you know, even if I didn't play, if I was there, and to read someone's criticism, you learn a whole lot about that particular critic.
If you can write.
What he likes, what he doesn't like, you know, what his tastes are, what his mother was like. And then all the time he's trying to put somebody down, you know.
Yeah.
And all the while you're reading just about him.
In defense of criticism, though, there are. I would agree with.
Music's just about trying to enjoy it, and you can't just sit down, you know, over a scotch and milk and enjoy it. You know?
All I'm interested in when I write about it is just moments that various moments that it made it or it didn't. You know, moments where it really smiled. You know, and moments where it really turned me off. You know, and it's no bigger than that, and I can't respond to it as anything more than just, you know, flashes of it. You know,
Well, your piece on Jimi Hendrix, where you had a great deal to say about the way he plays a guitar, which that's interesting. I mean,
well,
it isn't
the way he plays guitar is more interesting than what he plays on the guitar. You know, I mean, that's what he does. You know, he's play the guitar. He assaults it, he violates it. You know, and it's that interests me much more than what he plays because they all, you know, sound alike.
Who do you go to listen to, Janis, if you want to really have a... Who are your favorites?
Tina Turner.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Tina Turner.
Yeah.
She's my current favorite. She's the best chick ever. Fantastic singer, great dancer, fantastic show.
Would you be shocked if I didn't know who Tina Turner was?
No, a lot of people don't, but that's too bad. She sings with the Ike and Tina Turner Review. Ike is her husband and band leader, and Tina's the show.
She's really terrific.
Come by some night, Tina. Talking to Michael Thomas and Janis Joplin. Janis will sing for us again before too long. Hey, Michael, you did a piece once about Mick Jagger and something you had seen him do on the BBC. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, it was to do with what we were talking about before, about the older people worshipping the young people until they lose all their credibility and decency and dignity at all. And what happened at this show was when Jagger was on with, it was after he'd been arrested for drugs, and he was on with bishops and professors and dons and intellectuals. And they sat and chatted with him, and he wouldn't talk, you know, because he really didn't want to talk about it, and I guess he was tired. And he just sat there, and there's all these very distinguished people just begging him to, like, smile at them or say something to them, or recognize them at all, you know, as people, which he didn't do, you know, because he was feeling mean to them, I guess. And that seemed to me, you know, that was fine for him to do that, and I can understand why he did it, but at the same time, I hate to see all those other people doing that to him. You know, I hate to see people feeling as though they need some kind of approval from him in order, just because he's hipper than them. You know, it seems to me that they're just degrading themselves, you know, and then losing it, you know, and that's why everybody's so worried about Mick Jagger, because he's lost them, you know, he's just lost them completely, and then they are trying to find him, and it becomes very ugly, you know, it's just ugly. And
what would you say in favor of the older generation?
Oh, I'm totally in favor of the older generation. I just think they failed. You know, I don't think anybody's. But it's not bad to fail. I mean, you know, they tried and they failed, and we should, you know, just say, well, they failed, you know, but I mean, I don't think we should destroy them or hurt them in any way, you know, because you know they're ours.
It's okay, man.
You know, I mean, they're all we've got. They're the only older generation we've got. You know, so.
True. It isn't as if the younger generation has necessarily succeeded either.
Oh, not by no means, no. I'm no more confident of this generation than that, you know.
You're not?
No, I don't think so. No.
I am. No. Quite a bit.
We'll fight it out, you two. Janis, you could do another number for us. Maybe so we don't get into time trouble, this would be the time
to
do it, if you will. At these prices. Janis Joplin. Great.